Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Remote No Pressure podcast. I'm so thankful and grateful that you chose to check us out for another week. This week, we have an awesome episode. We've had a ton of guides on our show. And like I said last week, you guys and girls are the hardest workers in the industry. Um, wow, y'all do so much. And so, what I did, instead of taking a guide who's been doing it for 30 or 40 years or whatever, I took a guy by the name of Kyle Wilkinson, who is an unbelievable guy out west, and he guides on the Yakima. And he this is his first year, so we met on Instagram and we started talking back and forth. And I said, Kyle, he told me he was going to be guiding this year. I said, get your license and then let me know, and then we're going to have you on the podcast. And so we're going to listen to kind of what he's going through, how he became a guide, and some of the things that are going on in his head. And then we're going to talk to him sometime later on in the season and just kind of hear about what he's learned and how the season went. And we just kind of want to follow Kyle through his career here the first year and see how it goes for him. So I'm very excited to bring Kyle and introduce y'all to Kyle. Welcome to the podcast. Let's light the fire. Well, today on the Remote No Pressure podcast, I'm super excited today to have Mr. Kyle Wilkinson. Thanks for joining us, Kyle.
Hey, thanks for having me, Jeff. It's pretty excited to be on today.
That's awesome, man. Hey, listen, the reason why I wanted you to come on, and you already know this, but let me just explain to our listeners is you're getting ready for your first season of being an official licensed fishing guide. And we talk to a lot of people, Kyle, on the other side of the career. So, like, we have had several guides on here that are, we talk to them about what they've learned and things like that. And I think about Dylan Rose. I don't know if you remember that episode, but, he was in college and he was playing jazz and he was, guiding as well. And so, what I wanted to do is I wanted to reach out to you, Kyle, and just catch you on the front end before your career really gets going, and just kind of pick your brain and see what's going on in your mind. Will that work for you, Kyle?
Yeah, absolutely. Sounds good.
Great. Well, my first question is you're currently in school, but you had started out going to school to be a teacher. Is that correct?
Yeah, so I'm currently in my second year of college, sophomore, at my local community college here in Central Washington. And I was going to school to become a teacher because my dad was a high school teacher, and we'd always had summer breaks and winter breaks and weekends to go fishing or hunting or some kind of outdoorsy thing. And I really wanted to keep doing that as I grew older and got a job. And so I thought teaching would be the best way for me to be able to spend more time outdoors. But kind of going through my first year and taking some of those classes, I realized teaching wasn't really for me, and that I wasn't really going to fit into that kind of career.
So you decided to change careers. So what is your major now?
So I'm working towards a major in digital journalism, and I love to write, and I'd always loved to write through high school, and I never thought that I could ever make a career out of writing. But the more I got into school and the more exposure I had, I thought, well, maybe there is something here, and I found ways to really tie that into my passion for the outdoors and writing about my time spent outside.
Let me ask you this question. So you were going to be a teacher. Now you're pursuing the digital journalism, which wasn't even a major when I was in college,
Yeah.
which is really cool. But did you get any slack? I mean, did anyone give you crap, Kyle, about why don't you be a teacher? Why don't you do what you're supposed to do? I mean, did you get any crap from anybody on that decision?
No, I really didn't. My dad, he had always told me like, you can you can do whatever you want. I'm not going to push you to become a teacher. You don't have to follow my footsteps, so to speak. You just do whatever you want, and I've always just felt the utmost support from everybody. Nobody's ever pressured me to do anything, people have just been really accepting of my change from wanting to be a teacher to going into the journalism field.
That's excellent. You sounds like you have a pretty good father. Do you guys have a good relationship, Kyle?
Yeah, definitely. We're really close. We're best friends. We hunt and we fish and we hike and bike and hang out together all the time. We're pretty close.
What is it about fly fishing and being outdoors that makes your relationship so strong? It sounds like that's kind of something you guys bond. What is it about the outdoors and fly fishing that brings you guys together, Kyle?
I think it's really being able to kind of get out in nature and just away from the crowds and away from a bunch of people and just really spending time just the two of you. You're really the only two people out there, and you just place in different situations where you have to kind of help each other out or talk over a situation or just spend some time together, really trying to figure out the natural world. Just get to really know each other more personally than you would in like a city setting, so to speak.
Sure, sure. Let me ask you this now. That's really awesome that you have supportive friends and family changing from the stable career, going to something that may be a little more. It's newer. It's not as established per se. But let me ask you this question, Kyle. As you're going through this, what made you decide that you wanted to become a fishing guide? I mean, that you've been doing a lot of prep work. We've corresponded quite a bit, and I was like, "Hey, get your license, and we're going to have you on." So, can you tell me a little bit about how you decided to become a fly fishing guide? Why you decided to pursue that, and can you tell us a little bit about the process on how one becomes a fishing guide in your state?
Yeah, definitely. So I've been fly fishing for most of my life, and I don't know. I had always kind of played around with that idea in my head, like maybe I could guide in the future as a potential side job or just something fun to do on my off time in the summers. But I never really knew how to kind of go about getting my license or the whole process. And one of my buddies, I met a couple of years ago through college, was a fly fishing guide last year for the same company that I'm guiding for now. And he and I really got to know each other the last couple of years and fished together quite a bit. And I had met some of the other guys that he worked with, and they were really cool guys. And earlier this year, I think it was in January, the head guide asked if I was interested in guiding part time this year, and I was pretty excited at first, and I wasn't really sure what to do. Like I wanted to kind of I wanted to say yes, but I also wanted to kind of know what went into it before I agreed to anything.
So, what does it take to get your guiding license there?
So in the state of Washington, you have to have three things before you can apply for a guide license. You have to have first aid and CPR training. You have to have liability insurance, and you have to have a small business license. And I looked into it before on my own, but I didn't know exactly like what to do, what paperwork to fill out, what to say, and all of the guys on the guide staff have gone through this before, and they've had to fill out applications every year, so they know the process. And at every step, they really walked me through, and I could call or text some of the guys and be like, hey, what should I put when I fill this part out? And they would always be right there to help me, and they really just worked with me and broke it down so it was much easier to understand. So I didn't feel alone during this time.
Do you find that the people in the fly fishing industry, they're just very helpful? I mean, it sounds like these guys just want to help you out, Kyle.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's some great people in the fly fishing industry. There's all the guides I've ever met have been so nice, and all the people on the river I meet are always friendly, and they always want to talk and help you out and give you tips and just anything to make you a better angler. People are always really upfront about information.
Yeah, it really is amazing. So, have you booked your first trip yet or not?
I actually have a event coming up this weekend at one of our the spring creeks here in Eastern Washington, and I'm kind of going out to represent the guide service that I'm working with, or the outfitter that I'm working with there this weekend, and that would kind of be my first big event that I'll be doing. I guess you'd call it a trip.
Well, how are you feeling about all this? I mean, are you nervous? Are you excited? I mean, can you tell us a little bit about? I want to know what's going on in your brain. You know, how you're feeling, and I mean, there's a lot going on, I'm sure. But can you just describe that to us, Kyle?
Yeah, so I'm really excited. I'm super stoked for this summer because I know I'm going to be spending quite a bit of time on the water and being able to meet new people. But I'm also kind of nervous. I mean, I've never really been in a position where people are going to kind of depend on me all day. You know, with tying knots and supplying gear and cooking lunch. I'm pretty excited, but I'm also pretty nervous and anxious. But I'm still learning how to row. I mean, I've spent a lot of time rowing, but I feel like I need to work on that a little more and just prepare myself for my time on the water.
I hear you. That's got to be pretty overwhelming. So, can you tell us a little bit about what you're up to on the digital media side of things? I see you have a blog and things like that. Can you tell us a little bit about what's going on with that, Kyle?
So last quarter, I took two classes, a feature writing class and a blog writing class that required me to have a blog and to write for it and put media on there and links and all these different types of things you can do on blogs. And so I had to create a blog for that class. And I'd already been blogging a little bit before that, but I wasn't really, I didn't know what I was doing. I was just writing and just writing and writing and writing and just posting it on a blog page. And I just had no idea what I was doing. But once I took this class, and my professors, who were journalists and bloggers and knew so much about the field already, really walked me through and showed me this is how you make a more successful blog, I guess you could say, or a more productive blog. And this is what you should be doing and writing about and choosing a specific niche and all these different things. And I really enjoyed it. I looked forward to writing my blog post every week and hitting all the requirements for them that they would give us and just learning so much more about this great source of information. Like so many people, I've had people reach out to me, Jeff, and they'll read my work and they'll say, "Hey, thanks for this information, thanks for these tips," and I just really appreciate how I can have this site where people can come read and get this information and really enjoy themselves more on the water and have a great time.
What's the web address? Do you have it? And we'll put it in the show notes too. But can you tell us where people can find your blog?
Yeah, so it's a WordPress account. It's called Kyle in the outside.wordpress.com, or you could just go to just search it online and just type in like Kyle in the outside all in one word, and it should be one of the first site to pop up.
What have been some of your more popular articles that you've written?
So probably my top article was one. It was titled something like six do's and don'ts when fishing uh, Rocky Ford Creek, which is a spring creek that here in Eastern Washington that I fish quite a bit. And I posted that on some of my other social media sites and shared it on some fly fishing groups. And people have really kind of came and looked at that site, and they've really responded well to it, and they've enjoyed the me talking through some of the problems that I've had to overcome fishing there, and they're able to take that knowledge and use it for themselves when they go on the water.
That's awesome. That's awesome. What do you if you I don't know if you remember offhand, but what are some of those do's and don'ts? Could you fill us in on those?
Yeah, let's see. Some of the do's were I believe some of the do's were like fish smaller flies
Hmm.
because like this. this fishery is all catch and release, and these are super pressured fish, so they see flies all the time. And the smaller you go with your flies, the more fish you're probably gonna catch because they want to get they see like the big stuff, and then as you get smaller and smaller and smaller, I feel like most people aren't throwing the really small stuff, and I almost wonder if it's more realistic that way. So that was one of the dues that was to fish smaller and smaller flies. Um, Another due, I believe, was to walk around and don't be afraid to change locations. Don't get just stuck in one spot. Um, One of the what I see up there a lot is that people will get to one spot, and so this is a spring creek, right? So and it's really shallow, so you can see the fish that you're fishing for.
Okay.
And one thing I've noticed is that people will see fish and they won't want to leave a spot, and so they'll stay there sometimes all day and not be able to hook into one of those fish because they're so super picky. And I've been stuck in that same position before, but I've noticed that if you walk around and look for more feeding fish and not be afraid to leave uh, some other fish, that you can have a way more productive day on the water.
Oh wow. Yeah, those are great, Kyle. I want to put a link up to that article and to your podcast or to your blog up on our podcast notes and on our blog. Our blog is mainly just the bios from our guest is usually our blog post, you know. So yeah, well, we're really excited for you. In life, Kyle, and you probably already know this, but in life, it seems like um, there's these three stages. You know, there's like this point where you are in college and guiding and starting your career where you're so excited about what's around the next curve. And a lot of people, they get older and say in their late 30s, early 40s, and then they're kind of in their stride, you know. And then they get
Mm-hmm.
old and then they get cynical and they don't dream anymore, you know, because they
Yeah.
nothing impresses them, you know. And so, you know, I'm just really happy that you were willing to talk to us because I'm really excited for you, Kyle. I'm really excited for what you got going on and with your digital media. I'm really excited about your guiding and doing what you want to do. So many people. I don't know if you remember. We had. Did you listen to that Joe DiMalderas episode, like episode 1?
Yeah, I have. It's been a while, but I've listened to it. Yeah.
Yeah. So people have heard probably on our 50th episode that, you know, he talks about he was in finance and he was in banking, and one day he's just like, I'm going fishing. And his mom was supportive, his wife was supportive, but his dad told him he should probably go see a shrink, you know, because he had everything. So you're setting yourself up really sweet for the career that you love. And so many people don't discover what they love and what they're passionate about, unfortunately, until they're later in life. Let me ask you this question. Do you think people, everyone in their soul and in their heart, Kyle, I know this is a very um, exoteric, I don't know, this is a very deep, you know, question, but do you think everybody knows their passion deep inside, but maybe they're scared or nervous to step out to fulfill that? Or do you think sometimes it takes a little while for people to discover what they're passionate about?
You know, I think it's a little bit of both. I think that there are some people that really know their passion, but they don't know really how to express it. I guess so
Mm.
they don't know how they want to express it. And then I feel like there's also others that they don't know what their passion is yet. They haven't been introduced to it. They haven't had some of those experiences in life yet to really know what they're truly passionate about.
If someone's out there right now and they're listening and they're like, I don't know what my passion is, um, what would you tell them, Kyle? What would your advice be?
My advice is just I think the biggest thing for me is surrounding myself with supportive people and people that just really push you to do whatever you want to do. I mean, as long as it's legal or not bad stuff, not criminal kind of stuff, but pretty much
Right.
anything you want to do, and to just go for it and just really find yourself and not be judged and be in a spot where you can try different things and really find what that one thing that you want to focus on, that one thing you really want to do.
How old are you, Kyle?
I just turned 20 this last week.
Wow, that's some true wisdom. I wish someone would have told me that. But not only have you been told that by your awesome dad, probably, but you also truly believe it. There's a saying that says, "Show me your friends, and I'll show you your future." You've probably heard that before, but
Hmm.
that is so true. Like, what is? I know you mentioned some of the people at the fly shop, and then your dad, but who else in your life has kind of helped you on your way?
My girlfriend, for sure. She's a collegiate runner, and we've always been so supportive because she has such a passion for running, and I have a passion for fly fishing, and we've always just pushed each other to do better and learn more. And I've really fed from that, and we've really helped each other grow so much. Another person is my mom, and I think I mentioned her in my most recent blog post, and how she's not a fly fisherman. She's really not very outdoorsy, but she's always supported me. She understands that I love to spend my time outside fishing, and she'll always be there. So in my blog, I kind of talk about how sometimes I wake up, like 4 o'clock in the morning to drive 2 hours to go fishing, and even though she's not going with me, she'll wake up in the morning and she'll have breakfast with me or sit down with
Oh.
me while I have my coffee, and that support is just so awesome. She's always there. She's always making snacks. Like my buddies and I, um, my mom makes her own like a Chex Mix kind of mix, and it's really good. And my buddies, every time I go, are like, "Hey, did your mom make some Chex Mix this last week? Are you bringing a Chex Mix this week?" And I'm like, "Yeah, she made it." And so she's always there to help my friends and I, and keep us energized on the water.
That's awesome, man. Sounds like you get a great support system, man, and great friends and just great family. You are a blessed man, Kyle. That's just amazing.
Yeah, thank you. I feel like I was lucky to be able to have the family I do and all the support that I have.
That's awesome, man. Well, thank you very much for hanging out with us for a little bit. We're going to come and revisit you either mid-season or post-season or after the season, just to touch base with you and what you've learned and how things went. But thank you very much for taking some time with us, Kyle.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jeff. This was a great opportunity. I appreciate you having me on your show and talk a little bit, and I'm looking forward to sharing some fishing stories with you throughout the season.
Heck yeah, man. And one more thing, if people want to book a trip with you, where would they go to do that, or how would they get in touch with you to book a trip?
So the outfitter I'll be working with, they're Ellensburg Angler. They're based out of Ellensburg, Washington, and we have a website, just ellensburgangler.com, and you can book a trip through there. There's some contact information, and you can email or call Sarah. She books our trip for us. She's actually the wife of one of the guides, and if somebody wanted to book a trip on the like our home water is the Yakima, so if they wanted to book a trip, say on the Yakima, they could call Sarah, say they want to book a trip, and say they want to book a trip and request Kyle, and so they could book through there, or you can contact me through social media as well.
All right, great. Well, great, Kyle. We'll put all those links up, and thank you again.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff.
Well, thank you, Kyle, and thank you for joining us for another episode of the Remote No Pressure podcast. Be sure to go to remotenopressure.com, sign up for our mailing list. Also, check out, we got a few of those limited edition Deli Fresh design sling packs available for you. So be sure to go to our website at remotenopressure.com and check those out. And until next time, go fishing.